Awesome. Well, welcome to the local agent.
Happy
Thanks
to be
so
here.
much for coming on, everybody. This is Nian. He's he's not so new to being a first home buyer, but I thought it's great to share the experience with others in terms of what the journey's like. No one wants to listen to me or what my journey is and things like that. I think it's good to get someone on just to speak about your experience. I'm sure people have questions, and there'll be some people listening who haven't bought a home yet, and so it's good for you to give them some insight, maybe some advice, and
Maybe.
I'm sure there'll be a few laughs along the way in terms of what you've experienced, what the process was like.
Absolutely.
Especially, I think, with you being overseas when things were getting wrapped up as well. So
Yes, yeah.
that would be good to dive into. But yeah, I thought I'd just, if you're happy to just give a little bit of an intro as to like how that whole process started, and
Yeah.
how long were you looking for, things like that? Did you know you were always going to buy, or did you ever think of renting, or just kind of how the journey was for you?
Yeah, bit of a brief overview. So, I wanted to move. I wanted to buy. I've always wanted to buy. I've never wanted to rent. I've always kind of thought like, well, if I'm renting, I'm just paying someone else's mortgage, so I might as well just try and get my own. My thoughts on that have changed slightly since, but we won't get into that just yet. So I wanted to get my own place for about a year and a half before I actually managed to. Reason being is because I'm self-employed.
Yeah.
So when you're self-employed, you can only apply for a mortgage based on your yearly tax return.
Yeah.
So if you don't meet the mark 1 year, you have to wait the whole next year. You can't really apply mid-year because you have to report the full year's earnings. So that set me back about a year.
And when did you find this out in the process? Did you know, like, as soon as you started looking, were you speaking to people, asking them?
Yeah, so I was speaking to a broker. I used a broker throughout the whole process. And that's when he, basically told me, he's like, send me your tax return for the year. So I sent it, and he says, well, look, you can loan this amount. And I was like, right, well, that'll get me a shed in Yanchep maybe, but that's about it, So then I had to wait the following year, and he gave me targets. I was like, well, so how much income do I need to show to get a mortgage of this size? And he basically said, he's like, you need to aim for this amount. And I was like, brilliant.
And you needed a year.
Yeah. So I needed to earn X amount in a certain year. For the banks to kind of believe my income is sustainable. Yeah. So that was fine. It took me about that took me 6 months to get to. So that, because I had a target, I could go and smash it. That was fine.
So you didn't have to have a year earnings if you were able to save the goal that you needed.
Well, it works on tax years. So I think it's from June to July.
Perfect.
Yeah. So whatever your income is in that time is what they'll use.
Cool.
So for me, I started looking in August of 2022. I think, 2022 of August. No, sorry, 2023. I started looking. I started sending my details off to the broker. And then he said, like, it's not going to work right now. You need to earn a bit more. And I was like, right, great. So then he set me the target in the middle of 2023. And then you're right. Yeah, about a year later, I realized, I was like, right, I'm on track to hit this.
Yeah.
Got my tax return, sent it off, and he's like, right, now I can go to the banks, we can get some details. So then he was like, right, well, the bank will loan you this much money. I think it was like 350 I got offered. And I was like, right, well, I don't even want to spend that much. I want to try and keep it less because I don't want big repayments and such. And then it was pretty quick after that. So like once I got approved, I'm a little bit impulsive in that. Like I only looked at 3 homes and I picked one because I didn't like going to look at homes. So I was like, right, well, I've seen 3. This one's pretty good. Let me just put an offer in, see how it goes, and then here we are. There's obviously plenty more along the way, but
how was the timeline then? So was that like in a week you just picked the 3 homes that you liked and then you did it all on one weekend, or were you looking at homes for like a few weeks before you were like, okay, I want to start going to home opens?
I looked at all 3 homes in one weekend. Yeah. I looked at 4 homes. I looked at 1 on the Friday, and then I looked at 3 on the Saturday. And the one I ended up buying was the final one I looked at on the Saturday. And out of the 4, it was the one I liked the most for sure. So yeah, and I went to my home opens because I was traveling that year as well. I went to my home opens probably about 2.5 months after I got approved.
Yeah.
And before that, I was just looking online, like on websites like realestate.com. I'm sure there's a couple others, you know.
Yeah.
And just trying to suss out like what's actually possible, because it's all well and good being like, all right, well, banks offered 350. What can I get?
Yeah.
Is a different question, you know. So it was a bit of an eye opener, especially the time of the market at that point, like the back end of 2023, start of 2024. I believe it was, it was pretty peak back then. Yeah, it was pretty. It was like
bad for buyers.
Yeah, it was. What's it called? A seller's market. Hey.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like I was a little bit like, all right, probably overpaying a little bit, but then I had to look and I had to think about how I kind of felt about the market myself, which obviously is a very personal decision. And I was like, well, I don't think it's going to get much better for a buyer anytime soon. So I just bit the bullet and went in, and I think so far I've been proved right to do so. Yeah.
You're quite happy with your decision.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Yeah. I'm from not even like a financial or investment perspective, like the space of moving from like your family home to your own space. I just turned 24. Yeah. That was worth whatever extra I might have had to pay for the time of the market or whatever it was, you know? Yeah.
And how were your family? Were they pretty supportive? Were they?
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Were they like, oh, what are you doing? Like, obviously everyone has different families, and different, support networks. So were they supportive? How were they when you were like, oh, look, this is what I'm thinking of doing?
Yeah, no, they were brilliant. So they knew I needed my space. Like I work, obviously I said self-employed. I was working from home most of the time anyway. So then I was in, like, sleep in my bedroom, work in my bedroom, chill out in my bedroom, and they knew I was getting too frustrated and too like claustrophobic in that one little space. So they knew I needed my own space. And then even throughout the process, I was in and out of Perth, so they had to come to like the final viewing for me because to like check all the outlets, and I know you helped them out with that as well. That was really nice of you.
Final inspection.
Yeah, the final inspection. That's it. Yeah. But yeah, they were super supportive. And then even throughout the process, like, you know what parents are like, that's like quite not overprotective almost, of like, you need to check this, you need to check that. And it almost feels like annoying, but they're just trying to protect. It's a big decision to make. And in the moment, I probably didn't feel or didn't realize as big a decision it makes. Or it was, sorry. Don't regret it, but I probably didn't realize as big as it was. And then when my dad was asking me, like, you need to check this, like the council, you need to check the plans for the local area, etc.
Were there hidden costs that you weren't aware of when buying a home?
Absolutely, yeah. Luckily, nothing upfront, like nothing, like not cash I had to part with. It all kind of went onto my loan. Yeah. But yeah, there were so many hidden costs. Like I didn't know what a settlement agent was, and I still don't really know what they do. Yeah. But they cost an arm and a leg, and you need one. So I got a big fee from them. I don't know what PEXA means, but I've got an app on my phone called PEXA now. I don't know what Landgate is, but I had to pay a fee to them. Like, there's so much shit. Like I still, and maybe today I'll understand it. But so much shit. I was just like, right, you just gotta pay it and swallow it. There's nothing you can do. Yeah.
And so did the broker assist with that, or was it something that you just stumbled through where you're like, okay, here's another bill, I'm just going to have to eat that up kind of thing?
No, my broker was probably more helpful than a typical broker because I've got a good friendship with him. Like I've known him for a while. So he would help me out on things that probably weren't in his scope because I'd be able to, I was lucky to have him in that I could ask him and be like, right, what is this settlement agent? Why have I got a bill for $2,500?
Yeah, so they're able to kind of walk that.
Yeah, to walk me through it, But it was good because I had the settlement agency themselves that I could ask for help, my broker, real estate agent. So it was like 3 points of contact there, and they all probably have different, they're all protecting different interests, I'm sure, And when you ask them all the same question and you get 3 slightly different answers but slightly similar answers, you can kind of tell what's really going on and what's really happening.
For sure.
Yeah, so I found that quite helpful, having 3 different sources of information.
And how was the agent that you bought off? Were they helpful? Like, did they guide you through it, knowing that you were a first home buyer? And they were like, okay, cool, let's go through the contract page by page.
Absolutely not, no.
You're kidding.
No, absolutely not, no. I thought she was really helpful, but she didn't go through page by page like that with me, no.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, no. I did that myself, and then I would ask Jason, my broker, for help on that. She was lovely, like she's super sweet, really, really kind. But it was more just like specific questions I had. So I bought a unit, not an actual like freestanding home. So things like strata levies and such. And then what was it called? I think it's called conditions of sale.
Yeah.
Like one of the conditions was the next strata was going to get paid by the previous owners.
Yeah.
So helping me understand the condition she helped with.
Yeah.
But I found the contract, very much of a ball ache, yeah.
Yeah. There's lots of words. It's a bit like written by lawyers. So
it's legalese, man. Like it's a different language. You can't speak it properly. Yeah.
Legalese, I like that. So in terms of like your perspective of agents before that, did you have like, were you nervous about agents? Did you have a good or a bad like mindset about them beforehand? And like, did that change after you met and interacted with a few, even at the home opens?
I always kind of figured agents are there to represent the seller and not the buyer. Mm-hmm. So automatically I felt like, sure, they want to help me, but only if it's going to help them.
Yeah. Okay.
But in saying that, it wasn't like a pushy car salesman, you know?
Yeah.
Like I could go to a home open, ask questions, and they'd be like, all right, are you going to make an offer? Do you want to leave your name and number? Da, da, da. And, you know, I could say no, or they'd call me back and they'd be like, oh, what do you think? And I said, I'm not really interested in this one. They'd ask me why, and I'd be like, look, these are the reasons, you know. Yeah. They know it's not personal. It's just, it's a home. It's not them, you know. Yeah. So it was fine. My perspective on agents probably didn't change. Like it was like, they represent the seller, you know. They're trying to get the best deal for their client, and you've got to respect that, you know. Yeah, for sure. And that's kind of it, you know. Maybe now that you like the one thing you did mention already was like going through the contract page by page, like that would have been super helpful. And maybe there's other things you do that I've not experienced from an agent.
Every agent has their own process and systems. Like, and did you meet with him in person, or that was all done via DocuSign, or?
No, it was a her first of all.
Was she? Sorry. Yeah, I remember you did say she was lovely.
She was lovely.
Did she meet with you, or?
I met her at the home open, and that was the only time I met her.
Okay.
And after that was all email, phone call, DocuSign.
Okay.
Obviously, I would have met her at the final inspection, but I wasn't there. My parents went. Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah. But super responsive. Like I could call her and she would just pick up or be like, I'll call you back in 5 minutes, you know? So yeah, she was great.
Agents, you know, everyone has their own processes, systems, things like that. And if she's managing a few listings, you know, in terms of communicating, as long as she's like still communicating really well, and getting the job done and making sure that you're looked after. Yeah.
But it's also like some people prefer like, I need them to meet me in person.
Yeah.
Whereas I'm like, you're busy, I'm busy. If you can call me, that's fine.
Yeah.
You know?
Sure.
So like I guess it's down to the individual. I'm sure some agents would prefer like, all right, we'll meet for coffee or something. You know?
It's definitely evolved a lot as well. I think when there wasn't DocuSign, you know, over 10 years ago, it was all face-to-face.
That's it, yeah.
Even just with taking offers and things like that, that's evolved quite a bit as well. You know, some people will make sure that, you know, they only put offers on contracts. Some, you know, agents will take expressions of interest so that you don't have to fill the whole contract out. Things like that.
Yeah.
So when you put your offer in, was it all verbal or via text, or was it like, okay, if you want to put an offer in straight away, it needs to be written up formally?
So when I went to the home open, they had these information packages, and that had, I think it had all the details about the building and the strata. It had
a brochure.
Yeah, like with the professional photos and such. Yeah, it had a little brochure there, and it also had expression of interest.
Yeah.
So that's the first thing I filled out, and that was like your bid. So I remember I put one bid in, and then the agent called me and said, look, there's someone else who's put a bid in, but I spoke to the owners and I told them, like, you know, you're young and you're like by yourself, and they kind of they prefer to sell to you than like an investor.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, thank you. That's really kind, you know?
Yeah.
And she says, but both your offers are very similar. So, you know, you do need to nudge it a little bit. Yeah. And I was like, all right, cool. So, I think I increased it by a small amount. It wasn't a great deal. And then she was like, okay, that's good. That's good enough. Like, you know, that's fine. And we were done. Whether there was a second person or not, now I start to think maybe not, but who knows? You know, it was, I didn't have any issues in the moment.
You're in the agent's hands, like
exactly.
There's a degree of trust, and I know that's why I think there's a lot of distrust between buyers and or just the general public and
Well,
agents as well?
Yeah, I think any line of work where you're primarily selling anything, there's always a little bit of a wall up between the salesperson and the customer
Yeah.
off the bat, and then it's like your rapport and charisma will break that down.
Yeah,
you
for
know.
sure.
Yeah, but yeah, it was. I didn't have any issues because I liked the place, and I was like, I don't want to go through go and look at more homes, do more of these things. You know, I was like, it's a nice place, price is reasonable.
Yeah.
Let's just get it done. Yeah.
During the process, did you have any challenges that came up that you had to deal with? So, for example, did finance get approved on time? Was there anything wrong with the building that you weren't aware of that then popped up? Anything like that?
Yeah, the finance side was fine because it was quite the price of what I bought it for was quite a bit less than what the bank was willing to offer me.
Yeah.
So they didn't have any issues with that. The building, yes, a unit and an apartment versus a house, yeah, hell yeah. Everyone told me was like, oh, dude, Strata's a pain, and I was like, yeah, it's fine. You just pay a fee every month. Who cares? Like, they take care of it.
Yeah.
But it's not. That's not the case. You know, like you pay them, and then you have to make them take care of it as well. Like you have to be on them to keep it up. So then when I moved in, first when I moved in, it was. What was the first thing that there was a few things. It was something as simple as like just the remote for the gate to get into the unit wasn't working. So I contact the Strata company. I say, hey, I've just moved in. Like the gate remote isn't working. So every time I got to park my car on the road, enter the pin, get back in my car, then park my car. And it was such a nightmare. I mean, it's not that bad, but it was such an inconvenience. Yeah. And they were like, all right, well, okay, well, if you want a new remote, it's $180 plus a $50 admin fee. And I was like, you joking? I just moved in. Like, you'd think you buy a house that comes with the keys.
Yeah.
You know? So, like, just from that, initial interaction with them, I was like, right, well, these guys aren't necessarily here to help me very much.
Here to line their pockets. And
basically, yeah. And then throughout the process, throughout living there, so it's actually exactly a year next week since I moved in.
Hey,
so it's quite like
so
timely we're doing this, yeah. But then since the year I've been there, every little thing I've wanted to do, like the grass didn't get cut for about 2 months. And we would send emails to the Strata, be like, all right, you guys gonna, like, what's happened to the gardener? Are we doing it? And like, just nothing would happen. And it's like, we're paying these fees. What are we, you know? So that was the biggest eye opener for me.
And what were the neighbours like? Have you met and obviously spoken to a few of the neighbours and they agree and they're in the same boat?
Yeah.
So like, what's going on?
So the way a Strata works, and again, I learned all of this just by going through it. The way a Strata works is once you're an owner of one of the properties, you can then apply to be on the council of owners. So like, just owning the house isn't enough. You got to apply to be on the council. Yeah. And once you're on the council, you then get a say in decisions. Yeah. And then you can speak to the actual Strata company themselves. So I had to first be like, right, I don't like this, I don't like that. This is so weird, the way you do things. It doesn't make nothing gets done. And then she's like, oh, you need to be on the council of owners. I was like, okay, well, let me get me on that council then. So I got on the council, and then I got to interact with the other owners because before there's 10 units in my building.
Some of them would be leased out.
Exactly.
And they're just tenants, and they're just like, oh, I've got to speak to my, property manager, who then speaks to the agent, and it's all like, Chinese whispers getting,
Exactly, man. So then that's when I could actually start to speak to the owners and be like, because at that point, that was probably April last year. This year, sorry. I hadn't met any of the owners because none of them lived on premises.
Wow, okay.
I was the only one who lived on the premises.
Yeah.
And that's when they started to take notice more, because I was like, guys, like, none of this is happening. Like, you saying this is meant to be going on, but none of this is happening. I've been here for about 4 months now. I can tell you it's not, like, things happen.
And the meetings are in person?
No. So
Zoom, or?
So the first time I met was the official AGM and annual general meeting.
Yeah.
And that's when I got their emails, and then it's just been through email since. Luckily for me, since that, one of the other owners has moved back into the property. So now there's 2 of us. That's so we can discuss things like, instead of just waiting for an email reply, I can just go and see him and be like, hey, we're getting these lights put in. What do you want to do about them? And then
which helps. It makes it easier. I feel like the
so
only person
easier
on the ground, everyone's like, oh, they're relying on you almost. They're like, hey, dude, what's going on?
Literally.
Can you tell us?
Yeah, so much easier. So that made a big difference for me as well, because then I'm also like, the other owners know that this is not working the way it's meant to be working.
Yeah.
because often when it was just me, I was like, right, well, if everyone else is okay with this, nothing's going to change.
Tenants just worry about themselves and their
Exactly.
unit. They're just like, hey, look, I'm going to work. I'm doing my own thing.
Exactly.
You know,
Exactly.
the structure and the apartment's the way it is. I'm just going to keep doing my thing.
Yeah, they're not bothered, man. And I don't. Nor should they really need to be. You know, it's not their investment.
It's not their responsibility. It's like, hey, look, I don't own this complex. You know.
Exactly. Yeah. And yeah. So things like that. And then even like in buying the property,
Yeah.
things that I didn't really pay attention to, the state of the building. Yeah. Like in detail. I looked at the apartment I was buying. I didn't look at the building as a whole.
And how many viewings did you have of the unit?
Just one.
It's a big decision off of one viewing, isn't it?
Yeah, just one. Like I said at the start, I'm a bit impulsive, but yeah, just one.
One weekend of looking, bam, found the house, offer accepted.
So basically, I got my finance approved, or my loan. Like they said, you can borrow up to this much.
Yeah.
Then I started looking online, and I was like, right, well, prices are peak at the moment. There's nothing I'm gonna find, and I was all like feeling sorry for myself about it. Like, I'm gonna have to wait another year. This is so long. I didn't like this. And then I went to Sydney for a couple of weeks. I came back, and I was like, right, I'll just do one weekend home open, see how I feel. Even if they don't look like perfect, like I really like them online, I'll just go and see them in person. And I was like, right, I'm not doing this every weekend now. I found this one, and I was like, this is nice. It's a nice location. It's a nice size. The inside, and again, the inside of the apartment is really not is good enough for me. I'm happy. Yeah.
Did you have to compromise on anything?
Kinda. Yeah. Definitely. I did. Yeah, because there were things like more location orientated that I had to compromise.
Okay.
So I'm on a very busy road, and I'm not a fan. I like my peace and quiet. I don't like car noise. And again, something I didn't consider until I moved in, and I'm trying to sleep at night, and there's a big truck driving past me.
It's all the experience, you know. It's the joys of life.
That's it, man. And you don't. Me personally, is not something I'm going to think about in a viewing. When I'm viewing the home, I'm looking at sizes and
it's all aesthetics and things like that.
Exactly. Yeah, size, aesthetic, condition. I'm not thinking how loud are the cars on the road, or like what condition is the roof of this, because it's a ground floor apartment as well. So I'm not even thinking about the roof of the building. Yeah.
Yeah.
What condition is the roof in? I'll let you know. Terrible. We need a new roof, man. We need a new roof, and yeah, that was discovered like a few months after I bought the place. Yeah. So it's it's never going to be plain sailing, and the way I look at it is like
you'll never buy a perfect first property. There's always something.
Exactly.
So I think that's good for first home buyers to know. I think going into it thinking that you can just, everything's going to be hunky dory, like it's not impossible, but there is always going to be one or two things that.
Always.
If you've got a list of 10 things, there's going to be one or two that you have to compromise.
Yeah, but for me, instead of having like a long list of expectations or like wants for my home, it was quite short, but it was like very, very important that these few
Priorities.
things. Yeah, so like my priorities were it was a short list, but very, very high. Like I needed a 2-bedroom because I wanted one to sleep in and one for my office. Yeah, didn't want a studio or 1-bedroom because I basically had that at my own place.
Yeah.
Sorry, at my parents' house.
Yeah. Getting ahead of yourself. your place.
Oh yeah. They know who runs the show back there. Yeah.
They're listening in. Nian knows it's not his place.
Yeah, I learned that very quickly after I left. My bedroom's gone, bro.
Really?
Yeah. Anyway, didn't want a studio or 1-bedroom. I wanted a 2-bedroom to separate work and relax. I wanted somewhere closer to the city. Mm-hmm. And honestly, that was about it. That was all I was really interested in. Then it was just about like, how nice is the property? How nice is the area?
Did you care about strata fees, council rates, things like that? Was that on your agenda, or you didn't even think, it didn't cross your mind?
Because on the real estate websites, they would put like council rates, strata fees, like they would put the rates there. So then I'd look at them and I'd be like, all right, well, that's actually quite high compared to the other one I looked at.
Yeah.
But then in the end, I was like, as long as it's, I would more look at the property and be like, right, well, even if I didn't know the strata fees, I was like, if there's a gym and a pool, you're going to pay for it, If it's like in a really, really like aesthetic building, like high rise, you're going to pay for that as well, So like I kind of had those just gut feelings which is probably true anyway, to kind of steer away. Like if I was looking at a building, I was like, oh, there's a pool in there. I was like, I don't want to pay for a pool I'm not going to use.
Yeah.
You know, or a gym. Like I like going to the gym. I like using a proper gym. Yeah, I don't want to use an apartment gym. Yeah, so it's like it's that type of stuff I was like maybe avoiding as well, to save on things like strata fees.
Yeah.
Strata companies is another thing now that I know to think about and be like, all right, well, like if I buy another unit, would be like, all right, well, yeah, it's under strata, but who manages this strata? Yeah, because if it's and what's their reputation like? Yeah, because that's again, and a lot of people, even myself, I really didn't understand how strata works. Yeah, I thought I pay them and they do what needs to be done.
Yeah,
but I have to pay them and tell them exactly what I want to do, and then they'll do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And to tell them exactly what I want means I need a consensus from the other owners too, as well.
And it's not a quick process.
It's not. It's very, very slow. And basically they're working on our behalf as a collective. Yeah. I thought it was they look after the building and I tell them the issues with the building, almost like maybe a renter would with the landlord. Yeah. That's what I thought the relationship was. Yeah. But it's not like that. It's actually like we own the building. They execute what we want on our behalf.
Yeah. And
I prefer that dynamic, because then it's like, if something's not working, I can say to them, like, all right, well, remember who's in charge here? You know, like you're not calling the shots.
They don't make you feel like that though, do they?
They don't. They don't want you to feel like that. Obviously, it's like they want to be everyone wants more control than not, you know. But it did get to a point where I had to kind of speak to them, and I was like, all right, I've emailed you guys like 3 or 4 times. I ain't got a response back.
What's going on?
Yeah, like you guys need to remember, we decide what strata company we use, not you, yeah, as the owners. So you got to treat us with a bit of respect. Like if I'm emailing you 3 times and you haven't replied, you need to reply. You need to, even if you're busy and you say, I'll reply to you tomorrow. I've seen it, you know.
Communication's king.
Exactly.
Right? Just communicate with people, keep them updated with what's going on. That's for the whole process as well, you know. So
life advice, not even real estate only, bro. Like, but yeah,
helps with everything.
Literally. Oh. But yeah, that was probably if I had to put it into one, like the biggest annoyance or frustration, or just like when you buy, like when you have a home, there's always things that need doing. Like that's what I've always heard. Like once, like maybe the washing machine goes, and then the gutters need doing. You know, even if it's a proper home, you know. Yeah. So to expect you're not going to get that in a strata or in a unit is just foolish on my behalf. Yeah, like you're still going to have those.
I'm paying strata fees. You know, I don't have to take care of anything. That's you know.
And that was my mentality. I was like, well, if I pay it, I'm paying someone else to look after it. Yeah, but
they ain't gonna replace your washing machine for you, bro.
But I'm paying it and I'm looking after it at the same time. Yeah. They're just booking the gardener. Yeah, I'm telling them you need to book a gardener for this day and they need to do this work. Yeah, they just go and call the gardener, and I'm like, well, I could probably do that myself as well, but it's fine. Yeah.
Looking back, is there anything you would have done differently?
Yeah, I'd probably have looked at them. I would have assessed the market and see if renting was a decent option.
Yeah, because the numbers.
I would have really crunched the numbers and seriously considered renting, because the cost associated with a mortgage is incredible.
You just think repayments and you're like, that's it.
Exactly. You just think repayments and that's it. But it's not. It's obviously you've got your bills like water, electricity, but you'd have that in a rental anyway. But then you've got rates, strata, obviously. Anything that you need in your house or goes wrong in the house, obviously you need to pay for, yeah? So like the plumbing, like there was nothing wrong with the plumbing when I moved in, but as I lived there for a few months, there was a few things that like a leaky tap or things that needed doing, and I was like, right, well,
maintenance.
Just general maintenance, man, and I'm sure that applies across all homes, yeah? But like I feel like if it was as a renter, it's less of my responsibility to maybe pay or look after these things, and I could be completely wrong. I don't know. I've not looked into how it works renting and landlord, but yeah, maybe I'd look at it like that, and potentially from just from like what I've learned since I bought my home, I became more interested in real estate in general, because it's an active investment of mine now. So then listening to what other people who maybe have got more homes or more bigger real estate portfolio, I say bigger portfolio, I got one little unit, bro.
Hey, that's a good start.
It's a start, yeah. But listening to them, and they would say, well, you should actually rent first, and then buy an investment property, because when you have that debt against your primary residence, it's hard to get more. I don't fully understand it, yeah?
Yeah.
But the
You
general...
go down a rabbit hole of like...
You like negative gearing and tax loopholes and shit. Like, I don't get it, man. But yeah, the general consensus that I understand is that if you rent and then buy an investment property, it can be more favorable to growing a bit faster, maybe. But I didn't buy a home. I didn't buy my place because I wanted to invest. I bought it because I wanted my own space. Yeah. And that's why I just remind myself, because it's the space and the just my own space that I was really absolutely after.
Yeah.
And yeah, whether I got there by renting or buying, that was the end goal. Yeah.
No, you've done really well, man.
Thank you.
I'm going to ask you a final question just for people listening. I think, what's the best piece of advice you can give first home buyers who are looking, and from your experience, to try and avoid and watch out and look out for?
Definitely save more than you think you need to. Like if the broker or the bank says you need a 10 grand minimum deposit, like save more, because there's more fees on top of that. And then it's just more cash to have on hand when you're like furnishing, or when you move in and you start living there and you think, oh no, this needs changing, that needs changing. Because even things like I didn't realize had to be done since I moved in, you know? The biggest advice, save more money. Think about it more than, definitely more than I did. Like, definitely think about it more and assess options. Like I said, the one thing I would have changed was really going back and seriously considering renting as opposed to buying.
Yeah.
And on a longer term scale as well. Like, repayments, what, 1,500, 2 grand a month. It's all well and good, but it's for 30 years. Yeah. 30 years is a long time. Yeah. I'll be pushing 60. Wait, is that right? Maybe not.
Just before.
It is. Yeah. That's what I mean. Yeah. And that, like, I don't intend to be still paying it then, but my point is, like, that's the level of commitment you're getting into. It's basically like a marriage. Like, basically, like, because it's this long as, so it's like, don't just don't do what I did.
Rush into
Don't do what I did, or maybe do, then you worry less if you just go in. But yeah, I don't know. I would say that's probably the best thing. Like, just take your time. I probably, if I could have stayed at home longer, I definitely wish I did. Again, like, just to save more money. But that's probably the main advice,
Yeah. The grass is greener where you water it.
That is exactly it, man. That's it. The grass is greener where you water it, not on the other side always. Yeah.
Awesome. No, well, thanks so much for coming on. I'm sure there's going to be lots of people who have benefited from that.
I hope so.
If they're, searching for their first home, or even, they've already bought and they're thinking, oh my goodness, what have I got myself into? So
literally, yeah.
Thanks so much. It's been great to get this episode done. And
that's all right.
It's always good catching up, man.
It's been good fun. Thank you.
Cheers.
All right, let's